Good morning, this is Jadwiga and welcome to my fairy tale channel. I will get started to tell fairy tales in English now because my Canadian friends regret that they don't understand the German ones. So, Peg and Dina and all the others, this is for you. The first one I'm going to tell is the number one in all of the editions of the books of the brothers Grimm. And this is the Frog King. In the older times, when wishing still did good, there lived a king who had 3 daughters. All the 3 of them were so beautiful, but the youngest one, oh, she was so beautiful that even the sun, who really had seen a lot, always surprised when it shone upon her face. Now, this youngest daughter had a favorite plaything, and this was a golden ball. She played with it all the time. She rolled it across the meadow, she threw it up in the air and caught it back into her hands, and she loved to play with it. Now one day it was so hot that she walked into a little forest behind the castle. Oh, and the shade of the trees and the little wind made it so nice down there. And so she sat down by a well. And again she threw her ball up and caught it and threw it higher and higher, and the incredible happened. The golden ball did not fall back into her hands, but rolled across the meadow and dropped right into the well. She jumped over and looked down, but she couldn't see anything. The water was so green and muddy, and she couldn't see the ground. She didn't even know how deep it was. Oh, and she started crying. She was weeping. Oh, she had lost her favorite plaything. All of a sudden, there was a voice. "Hey, little princess, your crying could melt a stone. What's the matter?" She looked around, and there was a frog sitting on the edge of the well. "Ah, you old water splasher," she said. "My golden ball fell into this well and now it's lost, and I loved it so much." "Well," said the frog, "I could dive down and get it up for you. What would you get me?" "Oh, whatever you want, dear frog. My clothes, my dressings, my jewelry, my precious stones, even the little crown on my head, whatever you want." "No," said the frog. "No, I don't want your clothes and dresses. I don't want your jewelry and your precious stones, and even not the golden crown on your head. I want you to make me your companion. I want to eat from your plate, to sit by your side at the table. I want to drink from your little cup, and I want to sleep with you in your little bed. If you promise that, I will get your golden ball back to you." Oh yes, I promise whatever you want," she said, but she thought, this frog has to stay here. It can never be my companion. At this moment, the frog came up and pushed the golden ball right into her lap. And she got it and said, "Oh, thank you, and then she ran away. "Hey, wait, I cannot run as fast as you did," cried the frog, but she would not listen. She ran right back into the castle and very soon forgot about the frog. Now the royal family was sitting at the dining table when you could hear outside a splish, splash, splish, splash. And then it knocked on the door. "Princess, youngest, open up the door for me." "Who is this?" asked the king, her father. "I don't know. I will go and open." So she ran to the door, opened it, and saw the frog and slammed the door shut. Her father saw that her heart was beating, and he said, "What's the matter? Is there a giant outside who wants to kill you?" "No, no, not a giant, dear father. It's a frog." "A frog? What does he want?" "Well, I was playing outside at the well when my little golden ball fell into it, and I was weeping so much that the frog said, 'Well, I will get it back for you if you promise to let me eat from your plate.'" "And did you?" "Yes, I did, but I did not think that he would come up here." "Oh," said his father, "you have promised, so open the door." And at this moment, again, it knocked on the door, and the frog shouted out, "Princess, youngest, open up the door. Don't you know what you promised down by the well? Let me in." Well, she had to go there and open the door and let the frog in, and then she sat down on her chair, and the frog was down by the side and said, "Pick me up. I cannot jump that high." But her father looked at her and said, "You will." So she took that frog and set it right on the table. "Push your little plate closer to me so that I can eat." The frog enjoyed the meal, but the princess wouldn't eat anymore. Now the frog had real fun with this delicious meal, and when he had finished, he said, "Well, I'm satisfied. That was really delicious. So now I'm tired. Let's go to bed." No, not in my bed. But her father looked at her and said, "If you have promised, you have to take him into your bed." The princess took the frog with 2 fingers, carried him up into her little bedroom, and dropped him in a corner. And then she went to bed angry. Just as she closed her eyes and was almost fallen asleep, the frog was right beside her bed and said, "Princess, dearest, youngest, I want to sleep with you in your bed. I want to sleep in silken bed, not in this dusty corner there. So take me up into your bed." And now the princess felt so angry. She jumped out of her bed, grabbed this frog, and smashed him to the wall. Oh, but it was not a smashed frog that came out of it, but a beautiful young prince. And she took him into her bed. So next morning, the king was really surprised to find the young prince instead of a frog in his daughter's bed. And he declared that he had been enchanted by a nasty witch, and that only the youngest princess could rescue him. So they were going to get married, and he was going to bring her into his castle. Now a carriage came along, drawn by 8 white horses, and in the back there stood faithful Heinrich, the prince's servant, who had been so sad when his master, his prince, has been transformed into a frog, that he had to take 3 iron bands around his chest because his heart would have broken if he would not have held it with these iron bands. So now he helped the prince and princess into the carriage and took his place at the back, and off they went. After a while, there was a noise behind the carriage, and the prince looked out of the window and said, "Oh, Heinrich, Heinrich, the carriage is breaking." "No, no," said Heinrich, "it's not the carriage. It was just one of the bands around my chest." So, and this happened another 2 times until faithful Heinrich had lost all of these 3 iron bands around his chest. Yeah, this is the happy end of the Frog King. And they are probably still very happy if they're still alive.